And that's kind of where the game stands now. We're running this on the Japanese version. They both have different categories, and I probably won't even get the chance to truly explain why. So, before we get started here, we're going to just switch to a single text, because obviously that's faster, right? And before we start this run, control schemes are limited to 4 options here. You have A, B, C, and D. C and D are garbage. Why? Because shoot and hold are shared the same button. Hold holds your gun's position stationary so that you can't move it around with up or down. But in order to actually do this run as fast as possible, we cannot have this. We cannot have these 2 functions sharing the same button. So that leaves us with only 2 viable control schemes, and I don't like dash as my shoulder button, so we're stuck with A, and this is slightly unfortunate. Only slightly unfortunate because of the last stage, which I will hopefully get the chance to discuss when we get there. And with that, let us get started right now. So, yes, this is Cybernator. Cybernator was the localized version, or it was the title of the localized version for North American release. They cut out a number of things. In the Japanese version, there's actually portraits, and for whatever reason, both versions have pauses in the action at different points. Japanese version tends to be a little more interactive because they actually have the characters talking as the action goes on, and you know who's actually talking. And this is also partly why the Japanese version is much faster, because we don't actually have to have text telling us who's actually talking. On top of all the extra text, the English version decided to add, on top of the fact that, you know, Japanese text is naturally faster than English. So despite actually having an extra cutscene in the Japanese version, which is like 15 seconds long, doesn't matter. All those other factors make up for it, and then some. And while I was doing that, I basically did level 1 completely pacifist, except up to the boss. And this is intentional, because by doing that, we gain access to the completely broken napalm weapon. This is the most powerful weapon in the game. This billow of fire here, it completely destroys most boss fights, as you're going to witness over the course of this run. And you can actually do this level pacifist, and you'll be rewarded with upgraded napalm, which you would think is actually really good because, you know, like I said, napalm is broken, right? Well, no. Sadly, upgraded napalm does not actually increase the damage output of napalm weapon. Drumboard probably would give you the better rundown of what it actually does, because I don't know what it does, other than maybe increase the amount of times it bounces. But yeah, the route as it stands now is to not upgrade napalm. The other reason why we don't upgrade napalm here is because in order to do this pacifist, I need to not activate that mine, and I cannot actually destroy anything. This includes running into asteroids. That counts as actually killing them too. Also, if you want to know how I'm mashing the text so fast, each of the 4 buttons on the Super Nintendo controller counts as a button that you can actually mash text with. So I can actually use my 2 thumbs to actually mash the text. So, with that now, we are on to Ark Nova here, and the goal here is to get into Ark Nova. We gotta find a way in, and that's what we're gonna do right now. Once we're inside, we're gonna be tanking as much damage as we can and try to get through it with as much health as possible, so we can finish the rest, or we can finish off the boss with as little health as possible. No real benefit, just not having to pick up any health upgrades is is more save time. So now we're actually in Arc Nova here. Like I said, we're going to tank everything. Just keep on charging. This dash here I'm doing is the dash button. And in order for me to keep optimally dashing, I just mash the button. I don't even have to really do it because the dash is active for at least a few seconds. Okay, so right there you saw me sink into the ground there. That means I did not soften my landing enough. And this actually stops my momentum, as well as stops me from dashing. So you want to try to soften landing just enough so that you can, you know, keep moving optimally. Also, I'm bringing out the shield when I cut corners, because that stops my momentum and allows me to cut corners better. So Arc Nova actually has branching pathways. The one I'm taking here is generally considered the fastest. And no sooner than having explained all of that, we are now done with Arc Nova. And now we're going to deal with the boss fight. Which is not really a boss fight per se, because we're just going to ignore him. While he probably trolls us with his arm and gets a couple of free pot shots at us. Maybe. I don't know. Oh yeah, there it is right there. He's always got to get one. You could kill this guy, but yeah, no, don't do that. The goal here is to actually destroy these things. And there's 4 of them. And if you try to kill this guy and then fail to actually kill all the engines in time, you have a time limit to kill these engines. If you don't kill them in time, Arc Nova will actually crash land into the planet, and it will actually trigger the bad ending. Right, so now we have this pretty much scripted auto-scroller sequence here, but this is very important part of the run. Actually, arguably the most important part of the run. These ads that are showing up here, they all drop a power chip. And we need these power chips to upgrade our Vulcan weapon. Yes, there is a level up system to our weapons here. This is our time to level up Vulcan, and we want to get it to level 3. This is most important for especially the last level of the game. So I got one more to get. Perfect. So we're now fully upgraded, and we can just dodge everything here. So if you want to know who's who here, the red mech is piloted by a guy named Beldark. This mech here, who failed to, I guess, activate his parachute or something as they enter the atmosphere, he is piloted by a guy named Rick. So keep that in mind, because it's important coming up here, in this scene here, because we're going to try to do a text box skip here. What's going to happen here is there's going to be a scripted sequence that's going to happen. We got time to get set up into position here. And hopefully that's the spot there. I want to get in a frame-perfect spot here. And this... Oh, actually... well, I'm going to roll with it. We'll see if I get it or not. But after everything plays out, Beldark's going to land right behind me. And... Uh-oh. And, at certain text box... Oh, we got it. Nice, nice. Okay, so... Once Beldark lands, he will initiate a conversation with me. We'll call myself Jake in this case, since that's the character's name in the English version. There will be a conversation between Beldark and Jake. But if you activate that conversation as well as the text box that initiates between Beldark and Rick at the same exact time, it actually skips the conversation with Beldark and Rick. And that's precisely what we accomplished in that text box skip. Again, it's a frame-perfect position, but you have a lot of time to actually get that spot because of how long the scene plays out. So Twilight Pursuit here is not really too much going on. It's really just keeping it simple. It's mostly just about the platforming here. again, I've already talked about the softening of the landings and just always keep dashing to move forward optimally. Here's the mini-boss, who is gonna not really do a whole lot, and we're already disposed of him. I'm gonna pick up this health here because health is very important in this level. And, yeah, we're already done with Twilight Pursuit pretty much. Here's the boss right over here. And do not do what these people are doing. Don't try to literally rush into a ship as it's trying to launch up. You'll get... Yeah, just don't do that. Of course, this is a video game. It's not realistic. I know. So, here's my jetpack here. It's going to take me up, lift me up, and we're going to pursue that ship that just took off. And here's the boss. So, the main thing here for me is not so much to shoot as soon as possible, but to be careful with when I shoot. I don't want to hit these ads because that's wasting my napalm shots. Napalm has a very slow recharge rate, so I actually don't lose too much time if I don't shoot optimally, because there's always time to actually do that over the course. The main thing is just to make sure I do not die, because health is pretty starved in that level. And yeah, that was Twilight Pursuit. Now, Gunfire Mounds is probably the hardest level in the game to optimize. These snow bunnies are pretty trolly. Let's see what they do. Right, that's a good pattern. Oh, that's a bad pattern right there. Completely charged forward. I was not ready. Okay, yeah. This is a pretty bad outing here. Made the wrong callouts. This one is usually pretty consistent. Yeah, so not the best outing, but, you know, we'll make do. And now time for the hardest part to optimize the movement in. The cave is really janky level design. There's a mini-boss there. Gonna take a hard fall there. Whoops, didn't want to jump there. And, yeah. Gotta make sure you use that jetpack to soften the landings once again so that you don't accidentally sink to the ground. And my god, the napalm... Okay, so if there's one downfall with the overpowered napalm, its hit detection is really finicky. And you saw that quite clearly with those Metroid mines there. Thankfully, we only have to deal with one more of them. Those ones we can just skip. And we just have to head on down here. And that ends the cave section. And now comes the boss fight. This is one of the few random parts of the game. Not these guys so much, but the orange ship that's going to try to defend them. I'm going to actually ignore him for a little bit and wait for him, because I don't want to deal with too bad of a pattern. Take some pot shots at him now since he's... Okay, so this attack is really nasty. Oh god. Yeah. Oh Jesus. Don't kill me, dude. Oh. Oh god. Oh god. Alright, so that was not the smartest way to handle that fight, but whatever. We lived in the end. So, it's not a big deal if I had a poor outing there. What's more important, though, is to move on to discussing about the next mission, which is the last mission of the game. It is, I think, mistranslated as Last Stand. It's definitely not a last stand for you, but a last stand for the enemies, I guess. I got to do a number of things simultaneously, including shoot with the Y button, utilize the shield with the R button, and then dash optimally with the A button. All of this has to be done simultaneously, so my hand has to hold the controller in a really awkward manner, and hopefully I mitigate damage properly. Yeah, so yeah, I want to actually hold the Vulcan weapon down here. You see these foot soldiers, they are arguably the biggest threat of this screen here, because they do almost as much damage as everything else. It doesn't make sense, It completely does not make sense, but that's what they decided to do. And the other big problem with this is this screen here. I have text interrupting me here, so I actually cannot hold the controller that way anymore. So I'm just tanking damage at this point. And I'm probably going to die, because now I'm at a sliver of health. We'll see what happens. Gonna bait out that body check. Yep. Yep. As soon as I missed him there. That's okay, though. On the Japanese version, it's... You're risking death by having to do that, and that's kind of the big... that's kind of the difficult thing with the... Oh my goodness, come on, dude. Just get out of here. So I moved to the right there, or sorry, the left, so I can get Beldark off the screen and activate this whole entire scene here of me bursting through the roof. And here is the cutscene that was actually edited or censored out of the American release. As you probably can tell why that happened there just now. The president of the bad guys basically offed himself with the gun. So now we have this auto-scroller here, and yeah. So even if I manage to survive the Beldark fight, I actually would have to hold on until some health pickup drops. And yeah, considering these bullets here would damage me, as well as the doors, that's was unlikely I was going to survive at that very, very sliver of health. Right, so remember that guy piloting the Internmech? Well, here he is again. Now he's in this welder bot. We call him that because the charged up attack looks kind of like that thing that welders use. It kind of looks like it has that effect. So I actually want to do a little bit of damage to Rick here during the course of this auto-scroller portion. Wait until he stops, and then start finishing the job here on him. And now we're going to take some health here. Pretty much just added safety. And now we move on to Beldark. Here's the last boss. And this giant mech here. And it has 3 weak points. We start with the low one, because it drops health that we will pick up. And now we finish this part here, because we need to kill these first 2 in order to open the main weak point. Hopefully this arm does not troll me. This laser here does a lot of damage. And we got the quick kill. So time is coming up here when the screen goes black. And there you go. Pretty short run. Pretty scary at the end. Especially on the health side of things. If how I did the last mission looked a little too risky, there were more beginner-friendly strats that have been established by both Butters BB and Drumbordist. So I mean, their race pretty much exemplifies those strats really well. And I mean, if you do find the whole risk of dying thing scary in the Japanese version, you could run the English version, because you don't have to actually switch how you hold the controller on the second screen, because there is no text box interruption in the English version. It's just one of the weird changes between the two, among the many. So yeah, I guess I will give my shoutouts to both of those 2 runners. They really pieced together the initial strats before, you know, I came along and injected a few discoveries of my own with the run. Actually, I think I already discussed about how the Japanese version was once thought to be slower, but obviously that is not the case when you look at this time and then see what the record time is on the English version. Right. So that's pretty much it for me as far as Cybernator is concerned. I guess it's time to move on to one of the bigger concerns of the 4 runs I have to do tonight, and that's that is the Lawnmower Man. Many things can happen in this one. I hope you're all ready for it, because I have this feeling some of you aren't. At the very least, you're probably not ready to see the box art.